Good morning, meteorologist Bob Acanfrio with today's tropical update for Sunday, July 31st, 2011. Well, the big story the last few days is watching our Invest 91L here out in the central Atlantic, starting to get close in on the islands. It's about 600 miles now east of the Leeward Islands here. And we're going to have hurricane hunters in this system this afternoon. I thought they would actually call this system, because believe me, everything is pointing that this is a tropical depression now. I'll show you why there was probably a little doubt last night and probably why they didn't really go for it right away, the National Hurricane Center. But you would think this morning, let's get it a tropical depression. Let's get the warnings out for the islands so they could be prepared. A little surprising that they're going to wait for and they may not wait for the aircraft. We might see something here in the next few hours here, maybe by 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. I'd be really surprised if they wait for aircraft, but they may. But I mean, all things are pointing that this is a tropical depression. The only reason why I say they should just make it a tropical depression is, again, to get the warnings out to the people in the Leeward Islands, and then, of course, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico down the road. But anyway, that's semantics, and we'll see. But anyway, you can see everything's starting to consolidate. This is the circulation center right here. Visible satellite this morning. Some nice little outflow developing on this system. And again, all things point that this is now a tropical depression. Again, we'll put some color on here. You can see the convection starting to consolidate near the center. Now here's the funny part. Let's widen this out. You'll see why there was a little doubt last night. I mean, no doubt it's still elongated and stretched out a bit. It's not perfectly symmetric at this point. We saw that looks like the wave axis kind of outran this main area of circulation here. So there was kind of two distinct areas, and there really still are. But this is really the main center right in here. And this is kind of the wave axis that outran it to the west. So you can see probably the trade winds here, probably a little swift here from the east to the west as well. So again, that's probably precluding quick development. Again, we still have the dry air factors as well. So again, that's probably why they were a little hesitant to call it. But at this point, it's there. It's consolidated enough here to the east of this main blob here. And this is definitely probably a tropical depression right now. And you can see not far away from the islands here. We're only a few days away here. This is going to be around that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame in here. Probably by Tuesday, the Leeward Islands. I'll give you all the specifics there in a moment. Water vapor loop. So here we go. Still some dry air around it. Most of the driest air is actually to the north of this. But there's still a little bit mixing into this system. I'm getting a little stretched out again. We still have to consolidate it. Here's the trough starting to come down across the western Atlantic here. Not making too much inroads south, and it probably won't make much inroads south. You can see it's kind of bucking up against this little sliver of high pressure trying to ridge in here. And that's an interesting note as well. Azores high here has been pretty consistent in here. It's actually pushed this system a little farther west the last 24 hours. And we've seen, which I'll show you, the model shift a little farther west. Again, not to keep preaching this, but for the long term, this is definitely coming closer to the United States than people think. So let's not think this is going out to sea real quickly, and I'll show you that in a moment here as well. But excuse me. But anyway, our first concern will be the islands. If you're living anywhere from probably Martinique northward, prepare. It looks like this system could become a hurricane by the time it gets close to you, or at least a strong tropical storm category 1 hurricane. Probably going to pass close to the island of Dominica, I would believe. But anyway, Martinique northward. Definitely start preparing. Virgin Islands, yes. Puerto Rico, yes, for about that Wednesday time frame. And then from there, we'll see what happens. But all these areas really need to be preparing for this system now, even though there's no official tropical depression at the moment. Definitely start preparing for this system. This is coming your way, and again, it possibly could be a hurricane by the time it gets to you. And again, for Puerto Rico, it's really going to depend if it goes north or south of the island. The worst case scenario is just south and over the island. I mean, if this makes a push to the north of the island, you could get unscathed here. But I don't know. Looking at everything, it looks like it's going to come very close to Puerto Rico, and I wouldn't be surprised if it slips just south of Puerto Rico. Okay, so let's kind of dive in here. We've got a lot to talk about, so bear with me. Again, if you feel like ever skipping ahead on these, I won't get mad at you. I seem to ramble on some days. There's just a lot to talk about. Okay, so let's close in on this system here. We'll kind of put up some maps. Shear map, again, pretty good shear. The highest shear has maintained to the north. Little anticyclone still trying to develop over our system. It looks like, looking at the shear forecast through the islands and actually for the next 3 to 4 days, look pretty favorable. So again, I would say slow, steady strengthening. One thing I noted last night, if you look, let's look at this is heat content. You see, once we get past 50 west, the heat content and the sea surface temperatures really start cranking up. And that's why I even said last night that once this gets back past 50 west, we're really going to see convection probably start bubbling up and really start getting going. And that's what we're probably going to see in the next 24 to 48 hours as things really start heating up. And the same with sea surface temperature as well. So that's why just give this system time, and it's really going to get going there. And that's why the islands really have to be on alert for this system. Looking at dry air, we were talking about that too. This is precipitable water, and you could see most of the driest air is still to the north. We got this nice tongue of moisture air right around this system. So the dry air is a slight hindrance. I think the most hindrance with this system in the last 24 hours, and it's pretty much going as forecast as far as getting developed, it's just that it's been really stretched out, elongated, not really consolidated yet. And I think that's more of a factor than the dry air. Yeah, there's some dry air around here, but it's not terrible. So that is just a point to make there. Okay, so let's keep going here. Vorticity, again, you can see this is from 12Z, 850, still a little stretched out, and that's what I'm saying. Not tight yet. We had that wave axis kind of move a little quicker off to the west of it, so we really need consolidation more than anything to really get the system going, and I think we're seeing that this morning. Okay, where it's going. This is the layer mean analysis here showing steering currents, if people don't know this. So we have one trough here, and then another one that's going to come down here. You can see it in Canada right now. So these are going to be the two troughs, and maybe even a third one eventually, that's going to try to carve out this trough here in the Western Atlantic and try to bring this thing out to sea. But we have Mr. Azor's high out here that's really pushing westward as well. And he's been winning out a lot this summer. Let me tell you, in the end, and I've seen this plenty of times this summer, maybe just one time it didn't happen, where the models are really depicting this trough stronger, and then before you know it, Mr. Azor's high comes in and says, no way. So that's why I'm saying across the East Coast here, Florida, definitely the Bahamas, all the way along the East Coast, don't let your guard down yet. Again, we're a long way off. We're over a week away, but if people are saying, yeah, this is going right out to sea, I wouldn't be so quick on that right at the moment. Okay, models, let's go. We'll be quick here, hopefully. Euro model today, as you can see, pretty much over the Dominican Republic, and then a hard right turn out to sea. So there's the Euro model. Again, Euro model's been bringing us a little farther west now as well with the last run. And I think that's initialization process here. And again, another thing, as you saw two pieces of energy here, models are probably going to have a hard time initializing this as well the last 24 hours. So we can't put everything on the models. I'm just trying to look at the long range, kind of where we're going with the upper air pattern more than exactly where this storm is on these depictions. So don't really say, oh, look, that model's showing it going over Puerto Rico. It's going to do that. No. But they're really having probably a hard time initializing it as well. I'm just looking at the overall pattern for everything. So there's the Euro. Again, trying to punch that Azores high in here. And then we get another little trough that finally kicks it out to sea. Okay. We have the GFS this morning. And I'm only going about 7-8 days out here. And again, here we go. And the GFS moves it over Puerto Rico. Again, don't be so concerned about exacts here. Azores high tries to push in there, and then bingo, we have a second trough coming down. And you can see even the GFS has gotten closer to the East Coast the last few runs as well. And then will that 1, 2 troughs, 3 troughs. Try to dig in far enough to really, it's going to be the battle between Mr. Azor's high and trough to see where it's going to go. And again, if there's a possibility that the system stays very weak, which I highly doubt it, but it's out there, this could be one of those cruisers that stays weak and goes into the Caribbean. Again, I would put more stock into this thing starting to crank up near the islands and then making more of a push to the west-northwest and then northwest. But again, there's always that possibility it stays very weak and moves west, although I don't really see that right now. Okay, let's go through upper air real quick with the GFS. This might bore some people, but you see Thursday, here's that trough. Right now the system would be down in here. You can see very good shear too across this, so we could, unless land affects it, it should keep steady strengthening. And then we're just going to kind of move this along here. I'm going to move this pretty quickly here. You know, we have Friday. You still see that trough still sitting here, starting to lift out. And then we're going to get it to about Saturday here, just to kind of show you what I see going on here in the upper levels of the GFS. And you can see then by Saturday we have this trough lifting out, and we see, starting to nose in here a little bit of high pressure. You know, is it going to lift out? What's going to happen? It might even get stuck out here off the, near the Bahamas. You know, we're going to have to wait for another piece of energy here to come down and try to lift this out. So just showing you that a lot of uncertainty along the East Coast right now. Okay, quickly, model runs. And you can see, and these are some of the recent 12Zs from the BAM suite. Definitely a lot of agreement. Again, getting near Dominica and then Martinique northward and then Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. Does it go over to Dominican Republic and weaken it? Does it come through here? You see, we're clustered now. As you remember, about a day or so ago, we were clustered east of the Bahamas. Now we're getting more clustered towards the Bahamas. So, just a thought out there. And again, we cannot say that this is definitely going out to sea just yet. I don't believe it is. More model runs. GFDL, boy, that thing's just very poorly performing when systems really start to develop. And it's not really showing any development much with this system. I kind of discount that guy right now. More in this area. HWRF has been performing much better this year so far. That's the purple line here. Again, that's the GFS over there. And here's the HWRF. Pretty good model run. I mean, seeing that what might happen, again, near Puerto Rico. It's sticking it just north. Again, becomes a hurricane near Puerto Rico or just past it. And again, another possibility out there. Don't look at these model runs and say, yeah, that's going to happen. But the HWRF has been performing better than the GFDL. Well, that's about it today. I think I rambled on long enough. But just to tell you that definitely, if you're in the islands, anywhere from Martinique northward, start getting prepared. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, get prepared. This system's coming your way. As far as the East Coast, Florida, Southeast, along the East Coast, still a ways away out, still a lot of time to watch it, and the Bahamas as well, but I still believe the system's going to come closer to the East Coast than we think in the end. Well, that's it for my update. If advisories start going on the system, I may have a quick update again later this afternoon. Have a good day.